So my number one is It's Complicated from 2009, directed by Nancy Meyer, starring Meryl Streep, Steve Martin, Alec Baldwin. Quick log line: when attending their son's college graduation, a couple reignite the spark in their relationship, but the complicated fact is they're divorced and he's remarried. That's actually a pretty good log line.
Yeah,
Um,
they nailed it that time.
they nailed it.
Yeah. It wasn't it actually maybe it's not that complicated.
uh, okay, so this is my number one. First of all, because it's Meryl Streep. There is nobody else, and I think you already know this about me, that who doesn't give me that much comfort. And it's at all levels, somebody who's so good and masterful at what she does, how she inhabits characters, just watching her work, the mastery of it. Um, I I would say, barring Sophie's Choice, any Meryl Streep movie is comforting to me, even a dark drama. Like if I want to just, engage with something that makes me feel good about the fact that, yeah, somebody can be that good, and that's pretty comforting to watch. So I think, and to make add to that, like she's cinematic, and
Right.
there are very few people uh who the camera loves as much as Meryl Streep. It's not just about talent and mastery. There's so many other things at play here.
Hmm.
That aside, I think this movie also captures my other big love, which is my love of food. I think this movie is very much a movie about the love of food and the love of relationships over food. You see that peppered throughout the movie. And you're sort of seeing all of this amidst beautiful contemporary locations and spaces. And this is where I give Nancy Myers a lot of credit. Like, this might, seem very simple and easy to do, but to get this level of beauty and elegance, but do it in such a, easy, nonchalant, deft kind of way where things just kind of come together, it's actually really, really hard. Also, another genre, we've been talking a lot about movies that have been starters of their kind of films. Nancy Myers and her ex-husband, what they started, and then Nora Ephron, other people kind of picked it up. Like, these people are the originators of the modern rom-com, and it's probably the hardest genre to nail because it's
Hmm.
just so tricky in terms of tone. And I think she's a master of it. And I think the center of it of course, is very funny, but I think the center of it is the chemistry between these three actors. Because once again, like you were saying, this movie could be a B movie, with the same plot line, the same beautiful locations and homes and kitchens and such. If you have lesser actors who are not embodying their characters and
Hmm.
making it feel like it's their real life. But here you see that. You see the pain in these relationships, you see the yearning in these relationships, and that's why you care. That's why the impact of this kind of odd screwball thing happening actually has some resonance. The kids and everybody, take it, leave it, it's fine, but I'm not really there for them anyway. This movie is really about just, these amazing actors coming together and having fun. That's the other thing. I think you called this out in your previous pick. You see all of these people having so much fun in this movie, whether it's
Hmm.
making croissants or getting high, or dancing after a few dirty stiff martinis. Like, it's just so fun watching people have fun on the big screen, and none other than these three, who are amazing.
Hmm.
So I don't know, this is one of my happy place movies. It is happened to be shot in Santa Barbara, which is my real life happy place. When I lived in LA, I would frequently take personal retreats to Santa Barbara, which is just like a weekend day trip, walk around, eat good food, watch the ocean, and then think about life on the way back. Like, this was my sort of favorite thing to do when I lived in LA. So yeah, this movie has a lot of kind of personal meaning and comfort to me. So yeah, that's that. It's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, this I hadn't seen this film before, and definitely watching it, I was not surprised this was on your list. and that it was
Mhm.
number that now I'm not surprised to hear it be number one, because it's one of those things, especially over the course of this podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is definitely like a movie that you would eat it up. um but yeah, like, I had not, again, as I said, I hadn't seen it before. I thought it was fine. Like, it was a lot of interesting things about it though, because I know it was a huge hit, like a huge box office
Mhm.
hit at the time. And I was struck with a couple things. Like, one, it was definitely something you don't see, the plot line of the film, which deals a lot with people having affairs and that type of thing, and treated, yeah, it's a romantic comedy. And the tone of that is something you see a lot more in like French comedies, French, especially
Mhm.
French romantic comedies, where the affairs are not positioned in a way where like you're supposed to not like the people or you're supposed to judge the people. It's just like a thing in the plot, and it's treated, pretty lightly too. Versus a movie that, maybe a movie about an affair is usually not a light romantic comedy. So it is definitely that tone, and not in a way that doesn't make sense. Like, she can do that, which is something in America I feel is a very hard thing to do.
I agree.
To walk that line of like, yeah, you basically just made like a French romantic comedy, but for an American audience with, some of the biggest stars in America, and it was a big hit. So she was able to walk that line somehow. So that it was impressed by. And it definitely was also a movie that was like, for sure, meant for a certain demographic of older people that can see this movie, but they're trying to make, like, insert things into the plot that would be typically more found in like a teenage comedy or something. There's drugs and it's funny.
Mhm.
There's like gross out humor and then it's funny. There's all these like sex jokes that are like, again, very explicit, but that it's funny. So just it's definitely like, oh, this is like a movie where, yeah, like, I might be too old to watch American Pie, as a parent or whatever at that time. Like, oh yeah, I'm 50, I can't watch American Pie, but this is taking that type of humor and putting it around a package that is, digestible for someone in an older audience. Again, another reason why I think this movie was a big hit, because it
Mhm.
found its audience. And yeah, everyone likes laughing at this stuff. Like, drugs can be funny, and the gross out humor can be really funny. It doesn't really matter how old you are, but she
Exactly.
again was able to incorporate that in the guise of, a movie that, was, made for an older audience in terms of age, but it works, that it works. And I do think too, I'm also not surprised you talk about Meryl Streep so much, and just the cast, like the Baldwin, Streep, and Martin, because I do really feel that you need to bring like your own, baggage is a negative word, but your own like associations with these
Mhm.
actors to make the characters likable. Like, if this was another actor and not Alec Baldwin or Steve Martin or Meryl Streep, all three actors I really like, doing this, I might be more quick to judge these characters and some of the things
Right.
that they do. But look, I like them already. I'm predisposed to like these people. So in the stuff that they're doing, I'm not being like, uh-oh, like, this is really bad. But it comes to in their performances as well. I mean, the one
Agreed.
performance that annoys me, but this actor always annoys me, is John Krasinski. Like,
Same.
I can't stand him as an
Cannot.
actor.
Same.
And in this movie, I was like, yeah, like, she's capturing your essence, because it's really
It's
annoying.
cringeworthy and sort of annoying, and
It's
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But whatever.
Totally.
He was a big hit star at the time, and
But
I get
fits
it.
in the
It's him.
movie.
No,
Yeah.
it totally fits in the movie. Yeah. And the other thing I'll say is, Steve Martin, who's an actor I really, really like. He is maybe never been as charming as he has in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's the heart of the film,
Yeah.
for sure, and he
Yeah.
is able to carry that so well. And I think I need to think about this a little more, because it's a bold statement, and I've only seen this film once, but it might be like Steve Martin's best, I don't know, best performance, or the performance that most captures what makes him so endearing as a comedic actor. Like, it's all of his heart, because he's always
Mhm.
someone I feel that is very heartfelt in his comedy.
Mhm.
And this movie was more heart than comedy for his role, but I think no one else could have pulled that off in the same way that he does. He's just so charming. Like, I want to date this guy.
I
Like,
know.
he's so charming, but in a way that isn't like as sleazy as what Alec Baldwin's trying to do.
Totally.
It's just, yeah, he fantastic performance. So I thought the movie was fine. It just wasn't necessarily for me, but I could definitely see why you like it, and definitely see why it's a big hit. And of the Nancy Meyers movies I've seen so far in my life, I think this is the purest example of the skill set that she has and what she's able to do as a
Yeah.
filmmaker. Um, So
Sounds like you liked it too, more than you might admit it.
well, I guess I was going into it expecting not to like it. I'll say that. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to like this. Like, I don't like Nancy Meyers. You know,
yeah.
I'm not big enough of a fan of Baldwin and Streep to carry me through. You know, I know I like them, but they're not like my favorite actors. But I was, yeah, that's actually is interesting, kind of what she pulled off. Yeah, maybe it's my age. Maybe I'm old enough now. And if I'd seen this movie when it came out, I'd be like, this is a movie that's, you know, too old for me or whatever. So maybe it's a sign of my age. I don't know. But it was yeah, it's fine. Like it's not that complicated.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with me also, some of it we talked a lot about this, including on this podcast. So when you meet a movie, and I think
Sure.
I met this movie when I'd moved to LA not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just left San Francisco, my one home, and India, my other home, not too long before that. So there's some elements of sort of, she's going to be an empty nester. The
Mm-hmm.
kids are moving out, and she's sort of finding her new life. And she's taken years and years to get comfortable as a divorcee, and now
Mm-hmm.
she's starting a new chapter and such. So I think I met this movie when all that totally different circumstances, totally different age, but there's
Right.
something about that time in my life, and of course Meryl and her performance, that sort of really spoke to me. So that was my hook into it. I don't think this movie, when I first watched it, was what has become now for me. It's only after multiple viewings, and I would just come back for the croissant making scene, or I would come
Right.
back for, do you put smock, like little scenes here and there. But then over time, after watching it as a total piece, it's sort of taken a deeper meaning for me, and it's kind of become that comfort movie. So yeah, I think that's another interesting thing, that the other two movies were instant, Hall of Famers for me in the comfort repertoire when I watched them, because I was like, oh yeah, I know I'm going to be coming back to this entire thing over and over again because I love it so much. This was not that movie, but it sort of grew on me over time. It grew from a very specific hook.
No, interesting. Yeah, that makes sense in terms of where you were at in your life and where the Meryl character was in this film, for why it like spoke to you, and then that's the hook in, and then you would watch it many times. Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.